Hi, my name is David, this is INFJ Writer, and today we're going to do word stuff. So whether you're writing fiction or writing nonfiction or just communicating in written word, which most of us do in a digital world anyway, a lot of times you could use a little bit of a tool to help clean up your writing. So if it's business correspondence, something to make you not look like an idiot. And if it's something like fiction writing, something to make sure that your words are coming out in a readable way. Enter the giant debate between Grammarly and ProWriting Aid. Now, these are two of the more popular writing aids that are available online, and each subscription-based. What I thought for this video was to take a couple pieces of things that I've written and throw them in there and just see how one compares to the other. There's a few videos online that compares both back and forth. Sometimes these are sponsored videos. I will say right off the bat, nobody pays me a damn thing for anything, so the only thing you're getting is my unfiltered opinion on which one works for me. A bit about how I write. I do a lot of correspondence via email, but it's pretty casual, just in a business way, but it's not like I'm not talking to clients and things like that, that requires me to really kind of scrub the words to make sure I'm doing okay. We're all friends here. I'm also writing a book that is first person and fiction, supernatural fiction. So there's a lot of dialogue, there's a lot of back and forth, especially it being first person. And, that requires a different level of looking at the words to making sure that it looks like I know what I'm doing with my craft. Sometimes it doesn't go all that well. So here's the first example that I want to use. This was from a writing prompt, and the writing prompt was to write something about loss. And so it was a scene between two people, and one of them is very depressed and he's lost something. So I'm just taking the first paragraph of it. It's a very small sampling to try out in both of these programs, but I think it illustrates the difference between the two of them when you compare them side by side. So here's the first piece that we're going to look at. The screen door creaked, and Sam stepped out from the house, slowly making his way to a deck chair beside his friend Mark. Sunrise was just moments ago, the warm glow hitting their faces amidst the whistling soundtrack of black-capped chickadees in the surrounding woods. So easy enough. I took that piece, pasted it into Grammarly, and then pasted it into ProWriting Aid just to see what the difference was like. Let's do some screenshots. In Grammarly, it highlighted the word and that was the only part that it had any attention brought to it. And you'll notice if you go ahead and hover over it, or if you click on it, or off to the side in Grammarly, it gives you basically the idea of why it highlighted and that one is correctness. Punctuation gave me a red mark. It appears that you are missing a comma before the coordinating conjunction and in a compound sentence. Consider adding a comma. Well, thank you for the suggestion. And that was pretty much it. Grammarly was just like, hey dude, you missed a comma. Maybe, if you want to put one there. Or don't. It's okay. I think it's also important to note that Grammarly doesn't have like a huge menu or anything like that. You paste in the words, it goes ahead and looks over it and says you're missing some commas here, there are misspellings here, or whatever else, and that's pretty much that. ProWriting Aid, little different. The menu is actually quite extensive. I'll go ahead and throw up a picture of it now. In the menu, you've got things like your core writing help, and then repeat, structure, readability, consistency, fiction, house, plagiarism. And then under each one, you've got all these subheadings. So under core, you can go to a summary. You can check out the writing style tips, the grammar thesaurus, which actually takes like a long time to get going. Overused words, which is really important. When Grammarly analyzed my writing, it picked up on the word slowly. It ignored the and that Grammarly picked up on earlier and just went straight to slowly. And it says, okay, use adverbs sparingly in your writing, especially creative writing. This is really important. And it's something that ProWriting Aid actually does really, really well. It basically says, hey, here's all your adverbs, annihilate them. Which is okay. In fiction writing, you really don't want to have a lot of them. I just used the word really. Damn it. Whatever. And that's actually an important note. In dialogue and in speech, a lot of times you will keep the adverbs around because that's the way somebody would naturally talk. It's the way I always talk. I'm like, I quietly stepped into the kitchen and I really wanted some milk or whatever. Actually, I don't. It's lactose intolerance. Let's not get into that. The point is, ProWriting Aid, just off of one little piece, picks up on one of the things that will help you as a creative writer. Whereas Grammarly's like, dude, comma, ProWriting Aid is, nah, that's an adverb. You really don't want adverbs. You should slowly remove all of your adverbs. See what I did there? So with that test done, what I ended up doing was taking a longer piece that I had written maybe 15 to 18 years ago, and I had started this science fiction story. It's really terrible, but I can make it into something nice eventually. And put in this piece that had, okay, how many words? I didn't see how many words I had. It was quite a bit. So it was a few pages worth of writing that I went ahead and threw in there. And I wanted to show you the differences in how Grammarly and Pro Writing Aid look at both of these pieces, and then how they work through their suggestions to clean it up and all that stuff. So when I put this longer piece into Grammarly, it went ahead and gave me an overall score of 95. And it said, you've set some goals. Goals are pretty easy. It's just like, this is a creative writing piece, and this is the tone that I'm looking for, and so on and so forth. Out of the alerts, it said correctness, 27 alerts. So 27 things could be wrong. Clarity, it said it was very clear. Engagement, very engaging. Thank you, Grammarly. And delivery was just right, and I even got a lovely purple check mark. Now this is awesome, but it doesn't really tell me too much. Now I can step through those 27 marks for correctness, and it'll say, okay, you forgot a comma here, you forgot a comma there, do this, do that, and it goes through and scrubs the language, which is fine, and that's very helpful, and it will clean it up some. What it doesn't really notice is something like adverbs. Not to just always hammer on the adverb thing, but it's really important. You do want to remove a lot of them when you're writing in a creative way and you're writing some fiction. In Pro Writing Aid, it's giving me an overall score of 71, grammar 64, spelling 93. Okay, so that's pretty good, and style 55. Now the spelling of 93, I'm usually a pretty decent speller, so usually that's something like. Names, if it's a science fiction piece and you have weird names in there with all sorts of different characters or whatnot, then it's going to notice those as spelling errors. That's probably why that score's knocked down a little bit, because this was a science fiction piece and I had some weird names. If you look at the menu, it looks like this, with highlighting on real time. So that's as soon as you paste some text in, it goes through and it checks it in an instant, and it shows you as it's checking it what's going on. So it found 17 grammar issues, 33 style issues, 2 spelling issues, and you can see right there on the text where the highlighted word clearly with a yellow underline, and that corresponds to one of the style issues that you can go ahead and clean up. And then in the menu, if you click on style, you can go and check out those specific problems that it sees. One of the other things that's really nice about that is when you dig into style, it'll give you this submenu that lets you step through everything, and this is what it looks like. So it'll say, this is what it looks like in the summary, where it says passive index is 8. It gives you scores for everything, which is kind of nice. Hidden verbs of 4, adverbs 23, and 21 of them were outside of dialogue. So I think that's really the big difference between the two. Is Grammarly's great. It does highlight your grammar. It tells you where to put commas, and will detect spelling errors and some other things like that, some minor stylistic differences and whatnot. But Pro Writing Aid it will really scrub your writing. The other thing that I obviously I prefer Pro Writing Aid. This is a no-brainer. But one of the things that's really nice about it is it does, as you edit your work, it helps you become a better writer. And I think that's what this is all about. It actually improves the craft for you, because you're noticing all these things repeatedly, and then as you're writing, when words are flowing out, you're like, oh no, I shouldn't phrase it that way, I should phrase it this way. That way I get a better score when I shove it into Pro Writing Aid. But it is kind of a reward system. Oddly enough, it's like a grammatical dopamine hit. To wrap it up, they're both fine services. There is a pretty big price difference. I went ahead and found some kind of discount online for Pro Writing Aid and ended up scoring a lifetime membership for just over $100 or somewhere around there. Again, I don't get any kind of commission or anything like that. These people don't know who I am. I just really enjoy the service, and I think it's done very, very well. In particular with the adverbs. Pro Writing Aid is just adverbs, annihilate them, and get out your flamethrower and destroy everything. Grammarly will notice them. It'll be like, hey, you've got an adverb. You should put a comma after it. So I hope this helps, and hope it helps you clean your writing and work on your craft as it has for me. So thanks so much, and I will catch you on the next video.